So in today's video I'm going to talk about propagating jade plants, otherwise known as money plants, and the Latin name is Crassula ovata. Now these are one of the easiest houseplants to look after, and also one of the easiest to take cuttings of as well, as they will take root from any stem and any leaf cutting, so it's very easy to do. It's a good plant, succulent, easy to look after. This is a large one I've had for a few years, it's looking quite nice. But I'll show you how easy it is to take cuttings. This one's only 2 years old, so they're decent growth speed. So what you'll need is a tray with some free draining compost, ideally seed and cutting compost. You just want it to be slightly damp because these are succulents, so they don't need a lot of water. What you want to do is you want to get your plant that you're taking the cuttings from. I'm going to use these as an example because I don't want to touch this one, as I quite like the shape of this at the moment and I don't want to modify that anymore. So I'll start off with a stem cutting. Basically you just cut off the stem that you want. Doesn't really matter where you cut it, as long as it's got a decent length to it. Then what you want to do is you want to remove the lower leaves, and they very easily come off. A bit tricky, I'm videoing with one hand, but you just take all the lower leaves off basically. Right, so I'll just take a couple more off, and you can just pull them off. You don't need to nip them off. You can see there, it can just pull off. There they are. Now you want to cut it so there's a little bit of a gap between the last node, but not too much, because that tends to cement and fall off. What you want to do, you want to leave that for a couple of days to dry out, somewhere that's not in direct sunlight, so it doesn't dry out too quickly, and that will callus up the end, and that will stop any rot. Now once that's calloused, then you just want to stick it in the ground with the stem, where you clear the leaves away underground. Now for the leaf cuttings, you can just get all the leaves that you've taken off, and you just stick them in like so, with just flat, facing the correct way up, but at a slight angle, so that the end that was attached to the stem is in the soil. And you can just fill up a small tray like this. You can have maybe 20-30 small cuttings, and this is one I've actually done earlier. You can see just how many have taken root, and I've already harvested a lot of these. There was even more. I've thinned them out, and you can see they just come up into nice little plants. I've got one here which is an old leaf which has just started to grow. You can see quite nicely there, from the very end of the leaves, just where it attached to the stem originally, a little mini plant has started to sprout, and it's already got its own root system started. So you just leave that. Once it gets to about this size, or when it gets a bit crowded, you can start thinning them out and then put them in their own pots, and they'll quite happily grow. So that's how easy it is to take cuttings. I would just leave this in a bright position, away from direct sunlight, but with plenty of light. And as soon as they start showing little new plants like this, you can put them in direct sun because they will like a lot of sunlight. And just make sure the compost with the watering, you don't want it too wet because they are succulents, so just let the compost dry out a little bit between waterings, but never let it get bone dry. And they should do well. And then, as I say, if you put them in a larger pot, within 2 years they should be this size. So that's how you take jade plant leaf cuttings and stem cuttings. It's really very simple.